Over the years, frequent and unexplained sightings at the winery of a mysterious apparition have grown. Though unclear, its unfathomable presence has come to be known as the Phantom.
Phantom Chardonnay is currently waiting in my fridge downstairs for me to enjoy alongside some cheese. And I will enjoy it because Eva brought it to our space camp celebration and we drank the entire bottle. It is my favorite. It's spooky and it's delicious and it's great quality. So I highly recommend stepping aboard.
Go to buyphantomwine.com and enter drink for 20% off online purchases of Phantom Wine. That's buyphantomwine.com and enter drink for 20% off online purchases of Phantom Wine.
Important Halloween message. We have a very exciting announcement, which is that we are having a virtual Halloween party.
Ooh, Halloween is here.
I'm trying to vocalize with you.
We
Harmonize.
are. Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. Our voices do best when we're in sync. We're having a Halloween party. It's going to be October 19th, and it's going to be at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be dressed up in costumes. We're going to do maybe some spooky crafts, maybe some spooky games, eat some spooky snacks. And we probably are going to be streaming Ghost Adventures. So
yeah, a lot of it is TBD, but that's how we like to do it because we like to show up and just like create chaos as we go.
I say all these things, but we have planned none of it yet. But that's the fun and the mystere. So we're going to have a blast. It's going to be a party of two, and it's going to be virtual. If you want to be a part of it and watch some of that spooky stuff, then you can join us on our Patreon page at patreon.com/ATWWD podcast.
We will be streaming it, I think, via YouTube through our Patreon site. So if you are a patron, you will be able to join us. And we're very excited for this exclusive event. And I will be in LA, so we'll be in the same place. So it won't be, we won't have the usual concerns of two people trying to figure out tech. It'll just be in the same room.
Maybe we'll go trick or treating, which is me asking you for candy and you just give it to me.
I'll just stand in a closet and you can keep knocking on the door.
Anyway, I haven't told Christine yet what my costume is, but I'm very excited about it. So if you would like to see what that is, then you can join our Patreon and be a part of the stream that night.
That's right. It is, again, Monday, October 19th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So join us at patreon.com/ATWWD podcast.
Halloween is here. Okay. On October 19th.
Almost, though. Not quite.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, Emmethy. How are you?
Good. Look at you in your modern cottagecore boho farmhouse.
Look at me.
Attire.
Look at me.
You look very, very. What was the final draft? Comfy chic.
Comfy chic.
Wasn't that what it was? Pajama chic.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
Perhaps.
Well, you look great.
Oh, thank you. You do as well.
What?
Also as
well. What's my style?
You
would you say?
Are really wackadoo.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Core.
Poor? I was like, I look poor.
Well, I mean, you did call me trash, but
I know,
yeah,
whatever.
I climbed out of a dumpster to get here, so I think we're all okay. I also buy my furniture from dead people, so I guess we're in the same boat.
Look, I think we've both dumpster dove at least once in our lives.
Certainly, more than once, for
and just because it's a thrill and it's a bargain.
And it's a bargain. And
why wouldn't you?
I mean, nowadays don't, because like who knows what trash has touched what germs, but
no matter who you are, it is exhilarating.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a great time.
The end.
How are you?
Oh, I'm excellent, thank you. How are you?
Just looking like I dumpster dive apparently.
Core. I said core. I said something. Core.
I look future chic, I'd say.
Okay, yeah. I knew you were going to come up with your own phrase anyway and not use mine, so we'll use that. We are rapidly approaching Halloween.
Rapidly.
And
because we're doing this so early, this is still...
We're in September.
Arguably early September. It's mid-September.
Yeah, we're mid-September.
But it's still like We don't know what we should be announcing in our Halloween episodes yet.
We don't have any clue, and
we're gonna regroup, and then the next episodes, when you come back out here, we'll have a lot to say.
On the
maybe
on a good day, we're not prepared. So on a day where we're a month ahead or 3 weeks ahead, we're certainly not prepared.
It's interesting because we're prepared, but we're too prepared that we have no idea what we're able to announce.
What does the future hold?
Who's to say?
What is that?
The future.
Oh. It's like, why are you swinging all your accessories at me?
I like how my leg is an accessory.
Yeah, they're tree trunks, right? So
right.
I don't know
my
anymore.
tarantula legs.
Tarantula legs. Anyway, I feel like have any more updates because I yelled a lot of them at you. I'm trying to remember. Hopefully we're still caught up on Close Friends.
I think we are.
I hope that's part of the future.
I've been feeling a lot more confident in that.
Good. Okay, me too.
Good.
You're still probably verified and I'm still probably not. That's a future I can foresee for myself. And I talked about my ghosties. Mm-hmm. And I think that's that on that, man.
I think that's that on that. I'm looking forward to when this comes out where paranormally you'll be in your house.
Oh, God.
Because it might be so much worse.
Yeah. Well, and I'm really bummed out because Blaze works Halloween, but I'm in like a real neighborhood now.
Oh, so you can actually
with like
trick or
little
treat.
Kiddos and stuff.
A lot of people
are people trick or treating?
Well, there's a lot of like creative people at home coming up with socially distant ways to give candy out, like making like haunted looking slides.
How cute.
So that way you can drop the candy down, then they catch it on the other side of the slide.
Yeah, I guess everyone's going to have to Clorox their children's candy, which sounds really dangerous. But I guess if you're just Cloroxing the wrappers, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm clearly not a parent.
I live in an apartment, and you would think that would be like the ultimate like trick-or-treating experience because like you can just like run down the hall and knock on every door and get like a bunch of access.
A lot of kids, I think, in LA apartments.
No, there's not.
It's
such a shame, though. If I were a kid, I would have a goddamn blast.
Well, that's what
I'd be like, look at all these.
Have you read Eloise in New York, running through all the apartments? I mean, it's actually kind of genius.
My mom said that when she grew up in apartments, it was the best trick or treating she ever did because it was like. And only like the distance between one suburban house to another, you actually had like 10 homes of candy.
You are also exercising when you were outside. And I'm not a fan of that part, really. So in any case, I'm probably home alone on Halloween and frightened.
Well, you're never alone in your house.
I'm not alone.
All your estate sale buddies.
With my stomping cat that frightens me every time I turn a corner and seems to breathe in my face while I sleep, which I don't love. Anyway, so that's my update today. I know what I was going to say. I am really freaked out by my story today. Like, this is one that sometimes we get asked in interviews, like, oh, like, what do you do to like wind down after you read all this scary stuff? And I, in recent interviews, have said to people, oh, I've gotten so much better at distancing myself and like putting up boundaries and protecting myself. And like, this one really got me to
didn't do it.
Talk about like this one kicked my butt. And when I researched it kicked my butt. And then last night I was going over my notes again to like rearrange some of it. And I was up to like 3, just like, wow, shaken. And it wasn't even that I was scared. I was just like really dark. Like, it was really dark.
That's so weird because this one isn't super spooky. Last week's episode was pretty wild.
Yeah, that got too dark.
This one's a little tamer, and it's one that a lot of people have requested for a while.
Okay, good. Oh, this is one that people have also requested for a while. So hopefully we make people happy.
But I think we're gonna balance out on the scare factor.
Good. Mine's just dark.
Okay. This is light.
Fun.
I'm the yin to your yang today.
Aww.
So this is a story. I've gotten it. I don't want to say a lot of people have sent in requests for this, but consistently since we started, there's always been 1 or 2 people being like, when are you going to cover this?
Right.
So this is the story of it's in Hawaii. I've never covered a story in Hawaii before.
Mm-mm. Ooh.
This is the story of the Night Marchers.
Ooh, I was supposed to be in Hawaii last week for Blaze's brother's wedding.
And now where are you going to be
now
instead?
I'm going to be right here in
on
this very
Zoom.
chair. Yeah, on Zoom. But I'm very bummed out because that Hawaii trip was going to be a hoot. But now it's all postponed. But
well, I will say I apologize in advance. I'm going to try my best to pronounce all the Hawaiian names. Fun fact, for a while I was trying to teach myself Hawaiian and I got actually kind of far. And then that was like 3 years ago. So now it's all history.
Have you been to Hawaii?
No, but one of my friends who has passed away used to live in Hawaii and loved Hawaii. And so it was kind of like in honor of him. I was trying to just learn it in my spare time just to like know some like for literally no reason at all except like I think one of those language apps had just come out and Hawaiian was an option. I was like, oh, that'd be like, might as well learn some fun phrases for fun fact.
Yeah. Do you know any of them?
No, not anymore. But like, I was actually like pretty proud. I was like getting kind of into it. And then like classic me, I have such fleeting interests that like once I like,
I'm amazed how long we've kept this project going.
Same.
So yeah,
it's like, I really had one of those, it was one of those really intense interests that I was really, really into. And once I knew enough that I started feeling confident in it, I just literally never touched it again.
That's precisely how I operate.
Yeah. It's the most toxic.
It's very frustrating.
Toxic thing. I know a little bit about everything.
Yeah.
But not a lot about anything.
I've started so many projects like gifts and things. And then I get like halfway through and I'm like, look how cool it is. And then I show the person and then I go, anyway, I don't feel like finishing it.
I think that's why like things like the escape room and all that, it's like, I had actually I've said this before, but I told Eva months in advance. I was like, one day I'm going to do an escape room. I should start that now. But if I allow myself many months to do it, I just won't do it.
You won't do it.
I have to decide at 3 a.m. Right. I have 48 hours and this is it.
Like, Em and I will spend weeks being like, we have to do this thing. And then one night we'll both just be like, frenetic and then like it'll be done.
It's like, I want to say that like, oh, it's like procrastination helps, but it's really like, I only have like even with like learning like Hawaiian phrases and things like that, I had a solid 2 months where I really gave a shit about it.
Yeah.
And then after that, like my energy depleted itself. When it came to like the escape room, I was like, I have 48 hours. And after that, I'm not going to care. So we got to get it done right away.
Yep. Well, I'm proud of you for somehow learning some Hawaiian at some point.
Thank you. Well, anyway, I actually had heard about this from my friend who passed before he passed.
Oh my goodness.
His name was
not after he passed.
Not after he passed. That guy, he's an SOB because we promised each other
was this the one from the Segway? No.
Yeah. So his name was Adam. We were we were co-workers, but he was like my buddy at work. And one time we were both playing around with like paranormal equipment.
Right.
We had like, I forget what the event was, but it was like this massive ghost tour that we were like leading. And he usually wasn't part of the ghost stuff, but they asked him to be additional help. So I was explaining some of the ghost stuff to him. And I was like, he was like, do you think this stuff works? Like he was very skeptical. And I was like, I don't know. Well, let's make a bet. Like whoever goes first will like test, like what you and I always say, like, oh, if one of us goes, we're like, well, let's test it. And then he actually did pass, and I was like, all right, now's your time. Like, let's see.
I'm like freaked out now. I'm like, is it like the light's going to turn off or
none
something?
None of the machines ever went
Adam,
off.
are you here?
And I have a hunch he did it just to win the argument, you know?
Oh, he didn't believe in ghosts.
He was super skeptical.
Oh,
he was
so you're saying he was like, yeah, okay, fine, if it's real. So he might just be sitting there like, yeah, I don't want to give you the satisfaction. Got it.
Yeah, I sat there with all the equipment out, and I was like, all right, Adam, let's go. And nothing ever went off. And I was like, we had just had the conversation, which is very ironic now. But it's like, okay,
well, as long as
you
he
win, I guess.
Doesn't like turn off the cameras or like make us record this over again, I'm fine. You can.
I hope, like, if you're going to show up, like, 8 years later, that's not classy. Okay?
No.
Make it a solid 10. Okay. So anyway, this one's for Adam, I suppose.
Yay.
So, okay.
I wish I had a drink. I need to pour one out.
Pour one out for our
Not
homie.
on the floor of the studio. That would be bad.
Christine, do you want to hear a really cool quote?
Always.
Okay, this is from Chris Smith. He's the director of wine growing at Phantom. Chris says, I saw a glimpse of moody boots and blue jeans, and I knew I wasn't alone.
I already have a goose cam.
There's also one from the cellar master at Phantom who says, the feelings of someone watching from the shadows. And you can also probably find that feeling in your fridge.
Yes.
If you're Christine.
That is right. I feel like if the wine in my refrigerator has not been drunk, then I am constantly feeling pressure and being watched from that said wine. And that's why I keep just refilling my Phantom wine fridge, which is now what I call it, because Phantom wine has become my favorite wine. I mean, think of the name alone. Like, it's a perfect match.
You have Phantom in your fridge. You have Phantom on your stairs that came from a church. You have Phantom in your bedroom. You've got Phantoms all over.
Phantoms everywhere in moody blue jeans. So, it's a good fit. Okay, so Phantom Chardonnay is grown in Clarksburg, California. It's 100% French oak. And you guys know I like Chardonnay. That's like the only white wine that I typically drink. It got 91 points from Wine Enthusiast, which is like, primo in my book. And it has creamy notes of sweet vanilla and melted caramel. So I can drink it all day long. Sounds
like ice cream. It sounds a little like ice cream. Also, they have a red blend. I know Christine loves her reds. And the grapes are selected from the finest growing regions around California, and they're aged in American oak for 28 months. It's gluten-free, vegan-friendly, and tastes of wild berries and black pepper with hints of toasty vanilla, which sounds charming.
It is, and they're both so good. Like, highly, highly, highly recommend. Go to buyphantomwine.com and enter DRINK for 20% off online purchases of Phantom Wine. That's buyphantomwine, BUYPHANTOMWINE.com. I hope you know how to spell that last word. And enter DRINK for 20% off online purchases of Phantom Wine. So despite quarantine, Em and I have had some very busy days, in the Zoom landscape recently, I would say. Yeah, we kind of are in that space where sometimes we look up from the computer and realize it's been hours into the day and we have not eaten. And that is why we have been loving Daily Harvest, which has been sustaining me through this whole period of quarantine.
Me too. Daily Harvest delivers delicious food built on organic fruits and vegetables. It's right to your door. It takes just a few minutes to prepare. And I never have to question if the food I'm eating is good for me. They never use preservatives or added sugars or artificial ingredients. Daily Harvest works directly with farms to freeze their ingredients at peak ripeness to lock in all the nutrients and the taste. It really, we've said it before, but in our apartment, we fight over it. As soon as our box of Daily Harvest gets here, everyone claims what they want, writes their name on it so no one else touches it. It's so good, and they've got something for everyone.
Yes, we have a Daily Harvest Sharpie at my house where you write your initials on whichever flatbread you want. They have something for every type of day. There are smoothies for breakfast. They have flatbreads, which are really good. I usually eat those for lunch. And they have comfort food because it's starting to cool down, at least where I live. So we love Daily Harvest, and we want you to try it out. Daily Harvest makes it easy to eat clean, undeniably delicious food no matter what your day brings.
Keep it simple with Daily Harvest. Go to dailyharvest.com and enter promo code DRINK to get $25 off your first box.
That's promo code DRINK for $25 off your first box at dailyharvest.com.
dailyharvest.com. So this is the story of the Night Marchers, which I think is called Huaca El Po. I think.
Sure. Maybe he'll come back and correct your Hawaiian pronunciations.
That's when he'll show. Okay, so according to a documentary called Haunted Hawaii, there's a quote saying, "The Hawaiian culture believes that for everything visible, there is an invisible part, and everything you do in the physical world is matched by a movement in an invisible realm." Ooh, that's fucking cool.
That's cool and creepy.
When you come to the island, you are not only embraced by the people and by the land, but also by the disincarnate, and there's no one that comes to the island that does not feel something hovering around them.
Wow.
I love that.
Pearl Harbor once, and there's certainly an energy.
I've never been.
Yeah.
You can just feel it.
I mean, it's just like such a
intense,
big story, right?
According to a website called To Hawaii, they say Hawaii is full of myths and legends, and this state has a very deep connection with nature. A Hawaiian chant speaks of them as having as many as 4,000 gods.
Wow.
I don't know if I hope that's true. Otherwise, I just said something really false. But To Hawaii says it's true.
I like that is the
4,000 gods.
I hope that's true. Otherwise, what I said was false.
It's just like I know I'm speaking on something I don't know much about. So hopefully,
trust your notes, I guess.
It's like I think we're good. So there are, beyond the Night Marchers, there are two spirits that haunt Hawaii. There's more, obviously, but there's two I'm going to talk about. That are not the Night Marchers. One of them is called Pele, or Pele. And it's the goddess of fire and volcanoes. Ooh. Apparently, she's very respected. She lives in one of the most active volcanoes in the world. Cool. As she ought to.
As she deserves, right?
Yeah. She's earned that right. Apparently, she lives in the summit of Kilauea and in a crater on the Big Island.
Okay.
And Many Hawaiians have made journeys to that crater where they offer her prayers and gifts and apparently sometimes gin, like booze in general.
She, again, deserves it.
Yeah, of course. Like, if you're going to live in one of the most active volcanic craters, you should be having alcohol delivered to you.
Some gin brought to your doorstep.
Well, in return, she will offer messages about the future, and she is seen through the island as a beautiful woman with a white dog.
Oh, that's nice.
Precious.
Wow.
I can see why people
lady.
I can see why people love her. She's sometimes seen on roads, and drivers will offer her a lift. But when she gets in your car, apparently she will age into an old woman, give you advice, and then disappear.
Well, that's fun.
She's cryptic. I like that. I appreciate that.
We like a little bit of a shape-shifting situation.
I don't want. It's like, I want the chase a little bit.
She's like, I don't want you to be distracted by my beauty, so I'll add a few wrinkles.
I'll say my piece and then I'll leave you.
Yeah.
So apparently, the other spirit I was going to mention, beyond the night marchers, are the choking ghosts.
Cute.
Which there's not too much on them. I just wanted to like throw them in as they exist.
Right.
Apparently, they attack you in your sleep.
Good.
And they are the souls of Hawaiians who died by illness brought from the Europeans in the 1800s.
Wow.
So color me shocked.
Shock.
Yeah. Quelle surprise. The Europeans didn't do something right. They were being foolish.
It's really hard to believe, but yeah.
So anyway, they like to apparently choke people now.
Okay, well.
They deserve to, again.
I mean, at that rate. Yeah.
Okay, so then there's the night marchers. I just wanted to bring those two up just because they were fun.
Gotta.
So the night marchers, apparently if you like even look in their direction, by the way, they'll like kill you or something.
What? Wait, the chokers or the
night marchers?
Oh no.
The ones I'm going to talk about. So there is one person named Kamuela Keneshiro, who says that they are considered the deadliest ghosts in Hawaii. So shout out to, I'm just going to, the last name is easier for me to pronounce, Kaneshiro. So shout out to them. They host Legends from the Pacific, which was super useful for this episode. And also they guested on Spirits.
What is it, like a TV show or?
No, a person.
You said they host something.
Oh, a podcast, Legends from the Pacific.
Okay,
and then they also guested on Spirits podcast.
Oh, also a fan. Cool.
So he also worked with Hawaiian folklore and history specialists on specifically Hawaiian paranormal activity and did some series on that. One of the series was called Chicken Skin, which is Goosebumps. Goose Cam. So here's like cool, very, very, very quick Hawaiian history. We both know I can't. Just
Listen, I'm not saying anything.
Okay. So this is just like a broad brushstroke. So Hawaii is a collection of volcanic islands in the Pacific. It was first settled as early as like 400 BC by Polynesians that traveled to the Big Island. Fun fact, Captain James Hook was the first European in Hawaii in 1778 and named the islands, of course, a European named the fucking islands. Okay, named the islands the Sandwich Islands.
Cool.
So if you're going to name an island, I get it.
We'll
when
give
it's
it
the
to
Sandwich
you.
Islands. Although apparently the Sandwich Islands was named after his sponsor, the Earl of Sandwich.
Yes, have heard of that fella.
Who also did actually name the sandwich.
The sandwich.
I think the story is like he wanted something he could eat while also playing cards.
Right, he wanted to keep his hands.
He wanted something like a one-handed meal.
Right.
I got to hand it to the Earl of Sandwich.
Yeah.
He's done me many favors.
He's done us some good in this world. It's one European did one thing right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's apparently named in the Sandwich Islands. And I just wanted to throw in the sandwich fact, if I'm being totally honest. So Hawaii ran as a caste system where there were multiple chiefs. I think there were multiple chiefs per island.
Okay.
And these chiefs were called Ali'i. And Ali'i, I hope I'm saying that right. And among those chiefs, so among each island, there were different Ali'i. Mm-hmm. And above those were the ruling chief. And they were called I lost my spot. Noho Ali'i. So they were like the ultimate one running that island.
Got it.
So these chiefs weren't just the leaders. They were seen as having like incredible spiritual power. And they were often thought of as like representatives for gods or the representation of gods.
Sure.
And so each island, they had their own chiefs, and then like the ruling chief, and they all had their own rules. I'm kind of confused about this word, about the definition specifically, but it's called kapu, and it's the rules for things that you cannot do. Specifically, like the taboo, like these are prohibited.
Sure.
I think that's if I'm understanding it right. What's that called?
Verboten.
Verboten? Is that German?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a word that a lot of Americans use. It's like...
I've never heard that word.
Not allowed. Prohibited, like not allowed.
Like forbidden?
Yes. Verboten, yeah.
Oh, look at me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so kapu, according to one source, Ancient Hawaiian Gods is the website. These were some of the, I think, general kapu per island. Unless you were a ruling chief or a noho ali'i, you weren't allowed to wear red and yellow feathers.
Okay.
You were not allowed to look directly at your ruling chief, like whether if he was around you, you're not allowed to look at him. Mm-hmm. You were not allowed to have your head be higher than his. Mm-hmm. You weren't allowed to come in contact with his hair or fingernails. I'm going to try my best on that one.
Can I just, I'm just going to wonder aloud what happened. You know how you have some rules where you're like, who broke that?
It's like, who did something where we had to throw that in, where we had to make that a rule?
Whose fault is this rule?
What did you do to his fingernails?
What happened here?
Men and women could not eat together. Some foods were illegal for women to eat, such as pork, bananas, coconuts, because apparently they represented gods.
Coconut?
No bananas? No nanners? And the shadow of your chiefs was not allowed to touch you.
Oh, that would make a fun game, though. Not to make light of like an actual
what a game
historical situation.
That's like a Peter Pan game. Like
that does feel
shadow.
Yeah. I'm such an ass. I'm sorry.
So when I first read these, I was like, wow, that's kind of intense. Like you can't even look at them. But if their belief was that these are physical representations of gods, it's like you're not worthy.
No,
you know.
Don't climb up that ladder and be taller, you know?
Right, exactly.
What do you think you are?
And this is all linked to preserving their power or their spiritual power called mana.
Okay.
So it was very much like if you're looking at them, not only like are you not worthy, but also there's this belief that you might be trying to steal their mana in some way or challenge them or absorb some of their goodness. And so they believed that the commoners, you and I, wanted to steal their mana. So if you challenged them at all or like did anything against kapu, then you were trying to...
Sure, if you're touching them or in their shadow, like maybe you're...
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, maybe if you're trying to grab their fingernails, you might snag a little piece of mana out of that.
Please don't grab fingernails. It sounds so gross.
Grabbing specifically the fingernail.
Yikes.
I can feel it in my hand.
I don't love that. I'm going to instate that rule in this very studio.
Okay, here's kapu for us too. Don't touch my fucking fingernails. Okay.
It's Halloween. Ooh.
Halloween is here.
And Policygenius would like to mark the occasion by making something less scary, and that is home and auto insurance, which to me has always been quite frightening. But once I discovered Policygenius and found out that I am actually getting the best deal possible on my home and auto insurance, I found it a lot less scary.
If you want to try Policygenius for yourself, first head to policygenius.com and enter a few quick questions about yourself and your property, and then Policygenius does the rest. So they'll compare rates from over 30 top insurers, from Progressive to Nationwide, to find the lowest quote for you. And their licensed experts will look at all the ways to maximize your savings.
Yeah, so you can either bundle your home and auto, and if they find a better rate than what you're currently paying, they will switch you over for free, which is just a brilliant... design. Like that's like next level service in my opinion. And when I filled it out and I was like, okay, tell me what I'm doing wrong, and they were like, you're actually doing it right, and I just felt really like
doesn't that feel
validated?
Great?
Yeah, I was like, wow, I'm saving as much money as I possibly can.
Policygenius, I feel seen. I feel heard by you.
Heard. It's really nice. So this kind of service has actually earned Policygenius a 5-star rating across 1,600 reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and we're going to give it one more 5-star review here from And That's Why We Drink podcast.
So if you're a homeowner, head to policygenius.com right now to get started. They've saved their home and auto insurance customers an average of $1,127 a year. Policygenius, when it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. So if you committed kapu, I hope. Can you imagine if this whole time it's like Kapu or something, and I'm a real asshole?
Okay. I mean, yeah, I can because it's happened to us many a time.
I'm pretty sure it's Kapu. You'd be killed by lesser chiefs.
Oh, no.
And warriors. Basically, the ruling chief would tell the other chiefs, "Okay, go kill that guy because he's trying to steal my power."
Bummer.
Such a bummer. And it was in order to get the mana back to the original.
Oh, interesting. Because it was like if they took something from me, like now I want it back.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Again, this whole episode is me trying my best, and I hope everyone sees that. But it sounds like in order to get their mana back, you had to kill the person who tried to absorb it or take it from them in some way.
Got it.
Or maybe it was just like you're being disrespectful So when the ruling chief, the Noho Ali'i, would travel, he would move in a procession with the other chiefs and warriors, sometimes blowing a conch shell to alert people because they were aware that one of the rules was like their shadow can't touch you. Oh. And so they kindly, like they didn't want to kill you.
Right.
Like they were aware like there is the accident of like our shadow might touch you. Oh, so they would walk in this group together and make themselves as make everyone as aware as possible. Like get out of the fucking way.
Coming through.
Like here we are coming in hot.
The shadow is coming on.
The shadow is
the crowd,
big and bad, and you better get out of here. So
it's big and bad.
So that was basically what they were doing, is just warning people like you gotta hide. Because also if you see us coming, then that's also kapu because you're looking at us.
You can't look right at me.
So like we'll blow conch shells, or like they would also like have they'd have torches, like you could look at the torches.
Basically like step aside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GTFO.
And look down.
You have 1 hot second to move.
Yeah.
And so they would, chant, they'd have drumming, they would have their conch shell, they would have torches. They did everything they could to at least warn you. And then I guess the thought was like, and if after all that, you're like if you're still trying us, then like, we'll kill you.
Yeah.
If people heard or saw them, you knew to make yourself scarce and hope that they didn't see you seeing them or anything like that. Today, it's believed that the spirits continue their duties of upholding kapu, and this is the night marchers who haunt Hawaii. So it's almost the spirits of the chiefs before us
Goose Cam,
that are still doing their job.
Reliving their duty. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
How cool.
And so people say that they have seen bright red torches with lights in they've seen the lights in the front and the rear, and then 3 in the middle of the group. I guess 5 is a significant number in Hawaiian culture. And today it's believed that the spirits, they still continue their duties. I already said that. They'll see bright red torches. They'll still hear drumming. They'll still hear a conch shell.
Wow.
They'll smell rot and decay, which is apparently the stench of battle because some of them are warriors.
Ooh.
And the night marchers are said to look like Hawaiian men and women, or sometimes only men. Sometimes they have dogs with them. And the legend has been passed down through the generations that they're still doing their job in one way or another. Just to remind you, they were used to protect high-ranking chiefs. That was one of the reasons why they all walked around together in a big posse. And they were so sacred that no mortal man or woman was allowed to look at them. So their job isn't necessarily to terrorize people. It was because they were protecting the ruling chief of the whole island. And if you broke the rule, then like they gave you fair warning.
Right.
So in 1883, the first written account of night marchers shows itself. And I say written account because for a very long time, Hawaiian was just a spoken language.
I see. Okay.
So in the late 1880s was the first written account of it.
Got it. Okay.
And it was described as someone saw the spirit of King Kamehameha, the Great. And apparently they saw him being followed by ghost soldiers. Also, there's more like picture evidence, photo evidence from the 16th century and petroglyphs.
Whoa.
At the Puako Petroglyphs Archaeological Park. So it's maybe not a written account, but you can still see images of the night marchers having been seen.
Wow.
They're still reported at night, especially on the last 4 Hawaiian moon phases before the moon goes completely dark. This certain moon phase apparently is called Pokana. It's the night that falls at the end of the lunar cycle.
Oh, okay.
And so the 4 nights the 4 moons leading up to that is when they're most often seen. They tend to appear mostly in sacred sites on the islands and in notable cultural spots where like big events have happened.
Interesting.
They're sometimes said to be traveling from temple to temple, or they could be en route to battle since some of them are warriors.
Sure.
Or they're guided to places of importance where they're like welcoming new warriors, or I mean, there's a lot of theories about what it is they're doing.
The significance of the journey. Wow, that's really interesting.
So apparently some people have said the Hawaiian gods are present in the little entourage. It's the ruling chief, the Noho Ali'i, and then the other lesser chiefs, warriors, and sometimes gods are also present.
Whoa.
And when they are, the torches are apparently much brighter.
Whoa, okay.
So if you are someone who experiences this, you can expect hearing chanting, horn blowing, distant drums, bright torches, and sometimes even they're accompanied by lightning, thunder, heavy rain, high surf, really thick fog, even if none of that has to do with the current weather.
Oh, goodness.
Sometimes you just like, all of a sudden there's a thick fog, but you can still see the torches and hear distant drumming.
Spooky.
And apparently it's like, if you see that, you better run. Because like, even if they're dead, you're still about to break kapu or...
Wow, this is freaky. Okay.
So they are usually bands of tall, muscular, warrior-looking men dressed for battle, either floating or leaving massive footprints in the ground.
Whoa.
So either they're not walking or they're fucking walking.
You better know they're walking. Goodness.
And they will even walk through barriers that are in their way. So if they're walking in like a march, if there's a tree or a house,
Starbucks, they're going to walk right through.
If there's a Target nearby, it doesn't even faze them.
That's interesting. I wonder if that's that same theory of like blueprint, walking the blueprint of like.
I wonder.
Back, that was the route they took, and
they're
just going to keep taking it.
I'd say yeah.
Your Starbucks can't get in the way.
As someone who doesn't know much about this, I'd say yeah.
We say yes.
Okay. So let's see. I was at the bottom here. Oh, there's probably my favorite part of it all. So apparently, again, if you break kapu or if you do something that they wouldn't like, they are, at least when they were alive, they would kill you.
Right.
But in death and as spirits, they apparently still, I don't know if they like legitimately kill people, but I think people are still either out of respect or out of like curiosity still fearful of them. I don't know enough about, if there's been deaths since, but they apparently still recognize people, like even though they are dead. If they come by you, they'll still recognize if someone breaks kapu.
Oh no.
Because a lot of people have said that they have experienced these night marchers and found out that they actually still respect bloodlines. So if you're actually related, even distantly, to one of the original night marchers and you hear them, they will like, and they like know if you're related to them, they'll claim you and you don't get hurt. So,
but they don't claim you and like take you with them.
No,
it's
they like
you get a pass.
They call out to the group like that one's with me, basically.
Whoa.
So they say the na'u, which apparently means mine. So they'll shout na'u na'u, and it means mine, like don't like Finding Nemo.
Holy
mine.
Holy shit.
But so that way you're essentially like safe. Like, oh no, like that one's fine.
That just gave me like that they can tell.
Yeah.
Just from looking at
Even
you.
if you're looking at them from far away or you just hear them and like haven't looked and haven't like insulted them at all, they know. They apparently still see you. Wow. So here's one account where this is a quote. A woman who had come in contact with night marchers heard some spirits shout it in Hawaiian, kill.
Ooh.
But others called, wait. Another person said, go ahead, kill. But then another spirit called, stop. Another spirit answered, no. And the spirit who had told the others not to kill her apparently was a relative of hers. So it was like protecting her.
Spooky. I'd be like, yeah, listen to that guy, please. God. Well, I wonder what happens if like you're a dumb European like me and you're not related.
Let me tell you.
Oh God.
If you aren't related to one of them.
No.
I feel like this is the Hawaiians absolutely fucking with us, but maybe this is legitimate, or maybe they just want to see like dumb white people do this.
Want us to leave them alone. What is it?
You must strip off all your clothing.
Oh God.
Lay down on the ground. Close your eyes. First of all, pray that they don't find you. Play dead and pee on yourself.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. So this is if you see them at all, or is this like if they're like, we're going to kill you now?
So I don't know the answer, but if I were in a situation where I heard distant drumming, even if I were like a mile away from a band playing, if I heard,
we'd be at a concert and be like, hang on.
I would immediately be naked and peeing on myself just in case.
I'd be doing it by accident because I'd be so fucking scared.
I don't want to know, so I would just do everything preventative early on. I don't know at what point you say like, now I pee. Like now I've looked at them for too long, or I see a shadow.
Now is the time.
There is a torch. Time to go.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
oh my goodness.
Apparently, if you pee on yourself, it's for two different reasons. I don't know which one is correct, or if either are correct. Or the two common threads I saw was if you pee on yourself, it's one to show that you're unclean and they shouldn't get near you. Oh. Or two, it's because it's to show that you are so afraid of them and like it's a sign of respect.
Right. Like I get it. You're
it's
the
like
boss here.
You are above. You are alpha.
Sure.
Here I'm just peeing on myself.
I'm just a little lowly pea head.
Right. I'm just a pee head.
God damn it.
So I think I also saw on websites they were like, so this is a rumor that you have to pee on yourself and like lie on the ground and all that. But you know what? A rumor is a rumor. And a rumor is fact for me. When I don't know what the truth is, I'll just do it all. So,
oh my goodness. Okay.
Unless, like, what if that's like a joke and like that's actually like really insulting? Like
that's what I'm saying.
Like you
that's
pee
what
in
I
front
was.
Of them.
Oh, I thought you were saying, what if it's insulting that we're saying, oh, this is what they say, and it's not. But I guess
that's a constant.
Also insulting.
That's a constant fear throughout this story.
Sure.
But it seems like. I mean, a lot of sites said you.
It wasn't just like one dummy on a blog. It was like
a few of them were like,
source.
Rumor has it if you pee on yourself, they will steer clear.
Okay, like listen, I'll believe it.
If you're Hawaiian, first of all, I'm so sorry
They've
about all
stopped
this.
already listening, probably. Okay. But
also, let me know if the pee thing is real.
I'm curious.
Where are we? So. Apparently these phantom processions, they frequently appear on anniversaries. I said places that are important, like national or local events. Some say it's the spirits of dead chiefs still traveling from village to village to even just attend festivals, which is fun. And cool. Sometimes the marchers even escort a dying person's spirit to a point where they can go into the next world.
Wow.
I like that
That's
theory.
Cool.
Where they're like protecting you until you get to the end of the line. Wow. Night marchers move relatively slowly compared to another type of ghost called the runners.
Oh, I don't like that one bit. No.
So the runners, apparently, again, Hawaiian was a spoken language for a long time, so there was no writing letters to people. So like, if you had to get from one, if you wanted to relay a message,
interesting.
There were people hired called runners where you would tell them a message, and then like a really like extravagant game of telephone, they would run from one island to the other and relay your message to someone.
They would run from an island to another island?
Yeah.
You mean like, would they get in a boat?
There were tunnels, apparently.
What? Okay, so that's just me being dumb on geography.
They're called lava tubes.
Oh, okay.
And they're paths under the islands.
Okay, got it. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. And so
they run through the lava tube and get my message to the...
Can you imagine? What a job.
What a job.
So runners would go through the lava tubes to pass messages verbally.
Wow.
But apparently, sometimes you can see the spirits of these runners who will dart along the road and then disappear into the mountains.
Wow.
But they're running. The marchers are marching. Like there's a difference.
And the runners are probably not like, you can't look at me.
They're like, look how fast I can run.
Yeah, they're like, I'm actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, I need you to look at me so I'm known as like employee of the month because I'm the fastest.
Yeah, I am fast, and also don't pee yourself because I'm not really here for that. Yeah.
So apparently, this was a weird fact, but apparently if you're, let's say the blueprint theory where like they walk in a specific line.
Path, right.
If your house, if your front door or a door or I think even a window, like any sort of opening to your home is directly in line. Apparently they will go through your house. Wow. And so you have to get it blessed or, I think there's some general worry of their like being like their energy is passed through your home. So you make sure it's blessed or something.
Right.
So to keep them out of your home and evil in general.
Right.
Apparently there's, a plant called tea leaves, but they're T-I.
Oh, okay.
tea leaves. But they're plants that a lot of people put in their house, and it's supposed to keep them away from entering your home. Apparently, it's known that Hawaiian people will cultivate these plants and just to provide protection in general.
Cool.
In 2012, the Keneshiro, the guy I mentioned earlier. Oh no, it's a different person. Sorry, I'm so stupid. I read a different K word and assumed it was the same person. That was so wildly ignorant. So in 2012, Kappa Nui is the name of this person. Apparently, this is a case where night marchers were actually caught on footage.
Whoa.
Kappa Nui, they met with attorneys on a 23rd floor level, and they said that the building's security cameras actually caught night marchers.
Wow.
So I haven't checked YouTube, but I would like to see that. Yes. I want to know what that looks like. I imagine it's like a lot of torches. That's what I'm thinking.
Procession, yeah.
Yeah. I'm imagining the torches are probably the easiest part to see in it.
Sure,
just because they're probably the brightest.
Wow.
Also, another case or another sighting is a native cleaning lady was working when a column of mist appeared, and then she died the next day.
What?
I don't know what that means. Like, maybe she wasn't supposed to look at the mist. Maybe they're not related. But that story has been mentioned a few times.
Oh, no.
Also, a native Hawaiian historian and storyteller named Lopaka Kapanui.
I think that's the same guy you just mentioned, right?
Oh, yes. What is wrong with me? Because this time
put the first name on this one and not the last one.
I switched them by accident. Yeah. That's what I was like.
I do that
because I read it and I was like, doesn't this person have a first name or a last name? Okay.
I do that a lot. Don't worry.
It's on the other side of my page. So the same person I just mentioned who talked about the cleaning lady,
right,
is a native Hawaiian historian and storyteller who has many stories about the night marchers, but this was my personal favorite, and this is a quote from them. One night, people showed up late for a tour, and I had no idea that it was actually the night of the night marchers. There was no moon. This is like the most crucial night of it. I had them stand in a line and told them to empty their minds and take long, deep breaths. When they finally felt calm, I wanted them to point to an area that they think the night marcher trail might appear. Several people pointed in different directions, but one 6-year-old boy pointed right here, and he went straight to the space. His parents took a picture of him, and when the picture came out, there were orbs right above his head, and about a foot behind him in the tall grass were the head and shoulders of Hawaiian soldiers in feathered capes and feathered helmets.
Wow.
Some of them holding a spear. All 40 of us individually, one by one, got to see this picture, and when the last person saw it, all of a sudden the picture deleted itself.
No.
And I said, there goes our proof. And the second I said that, this wind came out of nowhere, and the grass and trees, but it bent the grass and the trees, and it wasn't a cold wind. It was a very hot wind. It left as soon as it started, and it smelled of something that had just died, and then we heard the sound of drums.
Holy crap. Holy smokes.
You got chicken skin.
Got some chicken skin.
Chicken cam.
Chicken cam.
Okay, so for one episode only, chicken cam.
This is a special episode.
For Adam. For Adam. So here is Kaneshiro, the person from earlier who I thought I was talking about a second ago.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's has a direct line to one of the Hawaiian ali'i, and has been known to say, quote, if you're Hawaiian and you haven't experienced at least 3 unexplainable things in your life, you're just not paying attention.
Whoa.
So that is hopefully a good version of the story of the night marchers.
Wow, that is so cool. That's fascinating. I had no idea.
Isn't it super I got a lot of chicken skin from that one.
Yeah, that one really got me.
Also, if you are Hawaiian and I mess it up at all, I am very open to constructive criticism, and I will correct myself in the next episode.
We'll do another corrections corner. Wow, that was good.
Yes.
That was really good.
Thank you. I thought it was super spooky. I knew of them, but I didn't actually know.
I had no idea.
In my mind, from when I heard about it like years ago, I didn't know they were ghosts. I thought they were just like people who were like hired to like
this was a current day thing.
Like they were like lifeguards and they just like walk the shore at night or something. I don't know. Maybe they are lifeguards. Maybe. In a way. An afterlife guard.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
An afterlife guard.
Talk about Baywatch. That would be a fun spinoff.
Eva, please write that down and also trademark it because that's a good one. That's actually a good one. I don't know how much it costs to trademark something, but if it's like less than $50, I'd like to trademark it. But if it's more, like, let's not, because I think tomorrow we might already forget about it.
Yep.
Okay, well, I have this one that I'm
excited for this one.
Scared of.
I'm excited. You're quite a ringing endorsement on this one.
I'm frightened, really, and I was last night.
Do I know this story?
I don't know. This is one. It's the story of Israel Keys. Do you know it?
I feel like I've heard you say it.
Yeah.
That's why I know
it. Came up recently in like a Patreon live stream because some people asked about it, and I said I was covering it soon.
I think I only know it because you've said I want to cover this, but I don't know anything about it.
I'd be covering it, but I didn't want to, give it away. But it's one that I get probably requested most, or at least top 5 of like requests. Yeah, it's very commonly requested, and I didn't know it. I like knew the name, but that's it. I knew nothing about it. I just knew it was a creepy story.
Wow. Okay. Well, knuckle and buckle.
I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe there's certain just like triggers in here that like got me personally, but I find it very frightening.
Great.
And I listened to, again, a Crime Junkie episode on this as well, and also spooky. So this is the story of Israel Keys. Takes place in Anchorage, Alaska. So we're doing a Hawaii and Alaska episode.
Oh my gosh.
Have fun.
Okay.
Now it's not fun anymore. So February 1st of 2012, a young man who lives in Anchorage goes to pick up his girlfriend, 18-year-old Samantha, where she works at a coffee stand called Common Grounds. It's like a stand with one employee who serves coffee in a parking lot. It's a common thing.
It's always those places that have the best of anything.
Exactly. And I guess it's more common up there, but it reminds me of like a mall kiosk. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just like one employee.
Yeah.
So it's called Common Grounds.
Can I do a shout out to a restaurant out here in LA?
Of course you may.
I think it's closer to the valley. It's called Bill's Burgers, which is funny because it's like Bob's Burgers.
Oh.
But it's literally like this old dude and his wife at basically their own little like kiosk stand, and they make like the best burgers.
Really? Okay. Well,
so that was my first
shout out.
thought.
Yeah, I have a photo of Common Grounds here.
That's precious.
I know. It's like a little.
Loving the color.
It's a little teal.
Really pops against the snow.
So this is where things just get really unfortunate. So he goes to pick up his girlfriend Samantha, who's 18 years old. She's working at Common Grounds, and he gets there and she's not there. Huh. And at first he thinks like
the one employee isn't there.
The one employee that he's picking up is not there.
They must have shut down the whole company.
Yeah. And he's like, that's weird. Maybe I missed the time. I messed up the timing. I don't know. Maybe she got a ride with someone else. Then he gets a text from Samantha. And it says, hey, I'm spending a couple of days with friends. Let my dad know.
No, she's not.
No. Certainly not.
No, she's not. That's why you got to have code words.
The owner of the coffee shop says, we have CCTV. So they pull the video and you can watch it on YouTube. And it is very frightening. She's in the stand. A customer approaches the window. She makes him a drink, hands him a cup, kind of turns around as if he like pointed at something. And when she turns back, she jumps like she's startled. She throws up her hands as if
someone has a gun or something.
Exactly. As if she's being held up. And then it's kind of a long series of events over several minutes, but she has her hands up. She turns off the lights, but you can still see from like parking lot lights or outside lights. And then she lays on the ground. Then you see a man in a ski mask crawl through the window.
Crawl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Into this tiny little thing.
Right. I was going to say this thing looks like a concession stand.
Yes, exactly. Like a one-person stand. Crawls through the window, takes Samantha, and grabs her and pulls her out the window with him.
They couldn't just go out the door?
I guess not. Maybe she wouldn't unlock the door. I don't know.
Okay.
But he crawls through like the window, grabs her, pulls her through, and then leads her down the street. So, of course, her brother and her dad watch this, and they're like, oh, my God. And they don't know if this is, like, someone she knows or, like, someone she's gotten into a fight with or someone who has, like, stalking her or who knows what. But they look through her social media. They're trying to figure out, like, how this guy might have found out she was working there or what have you. And they just keep hitting dead ends, and there's nothing. And then 2.5 weeks later, this is the first update they get is 2.5 weeks. So that must have been just a nightmare period of time of like,
I would have assumed the worst at that point.
No clue.
I would
Right.
have been like, okay,
what else can you do?
Yeah.
I mean, and part of you has to have hope, I guess. So it just must be so scary and frustrating. So it's 2.5 weeks later, February 24th, 2012, Samantha's boyfriend gets another text from Samantha's phone. And it says, Connor Park, which is the name of a dog park in town, sign under pic of Albert, ain't she purty?
I hate it, but I also don't understand.
So what I'm gathering is Connor Park, there's a sign under a picture of Albert, who I guess is like, there's like a plaque or something to some guy named Albert. And then it says, like, look under the picture of Albert at the dog park. And then it says, ain't she purty?
Is it her body?
They don't know what's going to be there. So they go to the dog park and find a Ziploc bag with a ransom note and a picture of Samantha with that day's Anchorage Daily News. So to prove she's alive, and the ransom demands $30,000. So police recover the note. They help coordinate the transfer of money, which Samantha's father facilitates and raises from the community. Her family doesn't have $30,000. Who does?
Who does?
Right?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
I just said I would trademark something for 50, and I'm already regretting it. But yeah, so they managed to raise $30,000, and they gather the money alongside the FBI, and their deal with the bank basically is like, we'll put this in the bank, and as soon as it's accessed, we'll go after whoever it is.
Ugh.
So the problem is, anytime the ATM is accessed, they have to rush to that location. Like, they don't know in advance. And so by the time they get there, he's gone. So they're like chasing this guy, like cat and mouse, basically. And there are 3 times the guy accesses the ATM with Samantha's PIN. So he has her ATM card and her PIN number. And it's the correct one because he's withdrawing the daily limit of $500 each time.
Wow.
So trying to figure out the next step, they're like, how do we anticipate where he's going to be? They're just kind of stuck. And then on March 7th...
Can't they like reach out to like banks, like security cameras, and be like, what bank is he always going to? Or?
So that's kind of what they did. He went all over the place, but he was always covering his face with a mask.
Oh, okay.
So they were like just stuck a little bit. So they were like, they told the bank, like, if somebody comes into the bank, of course, let
like
us.
Every person who like withdraws $500 today are like, oh, I guess it's her.
Well, they have
too.
the number. Yeah. So it was like triggered every time he used her card, but he was so fast that by the time like they got to that bank or that ATM, and there are ATMs too that are like not at a super public place. So maybe he was finding them. I don't know, but he was able to evade them until March 7th. So he's in Anchorage, right? All of a sudden, the ATM transactions start happening in Arizona, then Lordsburg, New Mexico, then 3 days later on March 10th in Texas.
Wow, so they're traveling.
Booking it, right. So somehow got from Alaska to Texas.
How do you...
Or Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. So he's like on a clear path too, like through the states. So they're watching all these, like helplessly watching this security footage when they notice that there seems to be a white Ford Focus in the background whenever he's there pulling money. So they're like, okay, that's his car, this white Ford Focus that he's getting into. So they put out an APB on this white Ford Focus being like, well, I mean, I drive, maybe I shouldn't say what car I drive, but I drive a very similar, very generic car. And so I think any white Ford, that's a very generic thing. They don't have high hopes. Let's put it that way.
Right. Also, my fear would be like, even though you're trying to help, maybe you're hurting because like if you put something out that obvious, then won't he just change cars? Yeah,
that's true too. But I guess that was just an APB to the police. I don't think it was like it wasn't like a media thing. Right. Okay. I'm sure if they got a hold of it, you're right, it would have probably given him a tip off to.
Right. And then it's like, okay, now we're looking for everything
like but a black Toyota. Right. It's just exactly everything but a white Ford. So they put out an APB, and like luckily a Texas Highway Patrol corporal named Brian Henry alongside a Texas Ranger named Stephen Rayburn are on duty when they spot a white Ford Focus, and they don't have a reason to pull this car over. So they're like, let's just follow and see if he does anything. And he's driving 3 miles over the speed limit, 3 miles per hour over the speed limit. So they pull him over because technically he's speeding. And they ask for license and registration. He hands them the ID and it says Alaska. And they're like, holy shit, like this is literally our guy.
Wow.
Gives me the shivers. The name on the ID is Israel Keys. So they have the guy. They search his car. He has Samantha's debit card and cell phone, but Samantha is not in the car with him.
Samantha's dead, isn't she? She has to be. You don't have to say anything yet, but I have a hunch.
Can I just end the story then? Because
can we be done?
Oh my god.
And that's why.
Certainly why I drank this evening. No Samantha. So from Lufkin, Texas, which is where he was apprehended, Keys was extradited back to Alaska for a hearing, and that took place in May of 2012. Partway through it, Keys broke free from his steel leg shackles, jumped over the railing in the first row seats, and was tackled, and they had to use a taser to subdue him. Like he's
on the plane.
No, at the hearing.
Oh. Sorry.
On the plane. Oh God.
Well, I just thought like I assume they flew him there, right?
Yeah, he was. I assume so.
My thought immediately was like, can't imagine being on that fucking plane.
Traveling from Texas to Alaska with this fucking guy, right?
Who broke free from steel shackles.
Well, that's what he did when they were at the trial.
I know. In my head, it was a plane.
Oh, on the plane, right? Yes. So he jumps over the railing into the gallery area. He's tackled by deputies. They use a taser to subdue him.
Wow.
And he later commented, "Come on, let's face it. I'm a bad guy who tried to escape, but nobody really thought I was a good guy before that." So he tried. But if you see a picture of him, he doesn't look like a scary dude. And I know that sounds like a dumb thing to say, but it's even scarier because it's just a normal, friendly-looking guy.
It's scary because, like, if he was a, quote, scary-looking dude...
Exactly.
Like, at least you feel less guilty or stupid for not noticing. Like,
yeah,
like
or...
when it's someone who looks, like, super straight-laced and normal, it's, like, it's more creepy because it's like, wow, I was totally taken off guard.
He could have just fooled anyone.
Yeah.
And like the way on Crime Junkie they described it, I think Britt said he's like any other guy you'd see at a barbecue, which is what you said about me, by the way, the other day. I just realized when you were describing my look.
Look, I have obviously changed it since.
You have really...
To comfy chic.
You've gone in loop-de-loops all over.
I've gone on quite a roller coaster trying to figure out exactly what I meant. And now I'm standing firm.
So basically we'll have a photo in the video. I don't have one for you right now. I'm sorry. But that's picture okay. just a white dude, and he looks
a white dude, a serial killer. There's a white dude. That's impossible.
I probably descended from Europeans. Okay, just kidding.
But yes, I understand what you're saying.
Gosh, yeah. So he looks very just like a normal dude you'd pass down the street. You know, like when you look at a picture of a serial killer who looks really ferocious or whatever, you're like, God, you can see in his eyes.
They've got the eyes,
that
yeah.
He's like, has bad intentions.
Yeah.
He just looks pretty fucking normal. And
I agree, it is super weird.
It makes it creepier.
It's worse. I'm just like,
it is.
Really, it could be anyone.
So he later said, "No one in my life really knows me. No one would ever suspect me. I can be both people, a killer and a normal neighbor and family man."
Ugh.
And it turns out he literally was. So he had a girlfriend and a daughter who had no idea about this.
Where did they think he was this whole time?
Well, I'll tell you. So when he was in Texas on the lam, he had even been at his sister's wedding. That's literally why he was in Texas. He went to his sister's wedding. Nobody fucking knew what he was doing.
Can you imagine being like, next time I'm at a wedding, I'm going to like scan the crowd and be like, who here looks like they're sweating bullets about something?
Everyone, because it's a bunch of people at a dance floor. But
I think it's because of our podcast, so it's an abnormal amount compared to others. But for us, probably on a daily basis, I think like, it's going to sound really toxic, but like, or in my head, I'm like, I can't imagine being a serial killer and having, like, being worried all the time that I'm going to get caught. I think some people just don't worry.
Arguably
every day I think that. I'm like,
but you and I
think it's because of our podcast.
Fucking hope so, but you and I aren't serial killers, and therefore you and I couldn't do it because there are people like this who are sociopaths and they don't care. They don't think they're going to get caught.
I guess there's people who definitely just don't care, and I'm way too emotional about that stuff.
Yes, you and I couldn't be serious. We don't we don't have the ability to just be like, step back from it, you know?
I do think all the time that I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not a serial killer. Like, I couldn't handle that pressure.
Oh my gosh, I always think the opposite of thank God I'm not a serial killer's victim. But.
Okay, well, that goes without saying. But I think about the paranoia I myself would have.
But that's why we'd be caught immediately if we did something.
Yeah, I would just turn myself in.
We would be too stressed and guilty.
I would just be like, I'm so sorry.
Serious. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think people like this have the same emotional capacity or threshold that we do, perhaps. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know.
So in any case, he literally has this completely separate life and nobody fucking knows. He was at his sister's wedding and during the ceremony was ranting about how he didn't believe in God. So maybe he would be easier to spot if you were at a wedding. The one interrupting the ceremony.
I'm not going to call it a red flag, but it's certainly an orange one.
It's not a pretty one.
It's peach.
It's getting a little rosé in there. So it turned, okay, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just going to give you background on this motherfucker. So Israel Keyes was born in Cove, Utah on January 7th, 1978 to Heidi and John Keyes, who were a Mormon family. They moved to Colville, Washington when he was between 3 and 5, where they converted from Mormonism to fundamental Christianity, which Israel would later describe as a more militant militia sort of church. He was second of 10 children, and along with his siblings, whose names included Autumn Rose, Charity, Hosanna, and Sunshine, which I'm like, this is going to be an interesting household.
Sunshine.
Hosanna, that one got me.
Hosanna is one of the Plaths. Charity is one of the Greenleafs.
Yeah, I figured maybe we'd be hitting...
You said fundamentalist Christian, and I went, here we go.
You get it. You get it. So he lived in a one-room cabin. Again, he's second of 10 children. Lived in a
so like the Duggars.
room cabin with no electricity or running water. As they were homeschooled, there's not really much record of them, of the family growing up, but multiple stories attest to him having a normal upbringing, which I'm like, normal under whose standards?
God's.
Under the one true God. Okay, sure. Hosanna in the highest.
The Sunshine.
I literally get a song. My ex-boyfriend's name was Sunshine.
What?
My ex-boyfriend's name was Sunshine. I had to say it. I was going to blurt it out. This is why I can't be a serial killer. Yes.
You had a boyfriend named Sunshine?
Well, it was like his nickname, but yeah, that's what we called him. That's what everyone called him.
Is it the boyfriend I'm thinking of?
I don't know. Who are you thinking of?
The main one. The main ex you have.
Oh, no.
Who the fuck was Sunshine?
Who was my high school boyfriend?
Okay. We're still learning about each other. We're still learning.
I don't know why I never like tell people that.
Sassy and Sunshine.
That's a fun fact.
Quite a thing. Okay.
Yeah,
Why Sunshine? Because he was happy.
I literally don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm like, that was just his name.
Sunshine. Okay. Well, great. I don't know what else to say.
I wonder if Ryan listens to this. That was his like real name.
Ryan Sunshine.
I wonder if he listens to this. Probably not, right?
He doesn't anymore.
He doesn't anymore.
He's like, oh, and now I've been targeted.
He's like, why are you calling me out specifically?
like, don't blame me. My name's Sunshine.
I do feel bad.
Anyway, hi, Sunshine.
It didn't go well. I mean, it went well, and then it didn't end well. No, I guess no exes end well. Okay, let's just change the subject. I'm sorry. No, I just
sorry, Sunshine.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Okay,
sorry. Rainy Cloud over here had something to say.
Fuck. We'll talk about it later. Okay. So at the time, Keyes became friends and neighbors with someone named Chevy Kehoe. Chevy spelled I-E though.
Chevy
Kehoe, who later became a white supremacist and
great.
Currently it's not funny, but it's just it's just also,
like, hey, could it get worse? Oh wait,
it's not funny.
We within 60 seconds went from sunshine to white supremacy.
No, I can't.
Oh my god,
I can't even make this shit up. It's so bad. Okay.
So who's Chevy?
Chevy Kehoe later became a white supremacist and is currently serving 3 life sentences for the kidnapping, torture, and murder of a gun dealer named William Mueller, as well as his family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Went from sunny to not so sunny.
To like really fucking dark. Keyes attended something called the Ark and Christian Israel Covenant Church. And if you think about it, his name was Israel. So he's like, Israel, Hosanna. Like, this is just very hardcore. It makes sense
that they were very,
strict
fundamentalist.
Yeah. So they taught Christian identity as like their belief system, which I guess is this like really anti-Semitic, racist, white supremacist interpretation of religion, which believes that all, or not even religion, just like humanity, which believes that all non-white people will either be exterminated or enslaved in order to serve the white race in the new heavenly kingdom on earth under the reign of Jesus Christ. Hosanna in the highest.
If God says so, oh my God.
If the weird old white man who probably runs this church says so.
It's the worst. And who was the person who said this? This was Israel?
Yes, this was
just what their belief system was.
This was his upbringing.
Christ
like that's
alive.
the church he attended. And then they're
If
like,
that's God, I don't wanna
ABC
know
News
him.
says he had a normal upbringing. And I'm like,
you're damn
if
right.
that's normal, yikes. I mean, no wonder we're all screwed, I guess.
Oh my God. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
I can't believe it. I just don't want to believe it.
You know, you said I can't believe it with like no conviction whatsoever.
I can't believe
it. This is so
Kel
shocking.
surprise.
Kel fucking surprise.
Wow. Okay. What's next, Christine?
Oh God, are you sure you want to know? As a teenager, Keyes renounced his Christianity because he instead became interested in atheistic Satanism.
Oh.
He really
Two ends of a spectrum.
did a 180, yeah.
Okay.
Instead of worshiping the devil as a real figure in atheistic Satanism, which I feel like we mentioned sometimes is like, it's not like, oh, I'm drawing pentagrams on the ground.
No, I'm like kind of down with the Satanists.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, it's...
I've seen some of like their commandments or whatever. I'm like, I think I'm a Satanist.
Yeah, they're I mean...
It's like respect people and be nice.
Basically like anti-establishment, anti-corporate. I mean, typically, as far as what I've read.
Yeah, it's got a bad rep in the public
From
eye.
the 80s,
It's got,
90s.
yeah, from our parents not knowing what they were talking about.
Yes. So basically, instead of worshiping the devil as a real figure in atheistic Satanism, the image of Satan is embraced because of its association with social nonconformity and rebellion against the dominant system.
Word.
Anton Sandor Lavey, the creator of the atheistic Satanism religious movement, stated that the reason it's called Satanism is because it's fun, it's accurate, and it's productive. Productive for what? I don't know, but perhaps. Alongside like this Satanism thing he developed and chilling with future white supremacist serial killers, as a teenager, Keyes was known for shooting at houses with BB guns, breaking into homes, starting fires in the woods, stealing firearms, and he later admitted to killing cats.
Okay, well.
None of this is normal upbringing. If it is, that's not good.
No.
That's my hot take, by the way.
The hottest take of them all.
Okay. So this is just where things, I mean, everything's...
It's just this man's bananas.
We're in the trash in the ground already, and it's just getting worse. So then Keyes served in the U.S. military, interestingly.
Excellent!
After all this anti-establishment stuff, he joined the military from ages 20 to 23.
Wow, a man with these beliefs with a little bit of authority now. I can't wait to see where this goes.
Yeah, right, exactly. He worked as a specialist where he was known to be quiet and often kept to himself. He drank on weekends. He drank his favorite drink, which is wild turkey bourbon. Shout out Kentucky. He drank excessively. In his final year in the military, which was 2000 to 2001, he was stationed in Egypt for 6 months. According to the Anchorage Daily News, he and some other soldiers would often frequent Tel Aviv, which was about 700 kilometers away, in his namesake country, Israel. So I think that's... you know, why
Fun.
not? To pay for sex workers, which nothing inherently wrong with that.
No, I just don't like
trust
anything
this
he
guy
does.
one bit. No,
I just don't like
trust him.
him. Like,
no,
I feel bad. Like sex workers, please leave him alone. Please don't go near him.
he seems, but again, like he looks really normal and,
right?
like, chill and handsome. And if he's, you know, whatever. I don't know if he's handsome. I only like looked at a photo once and then I freaked myself out last night. So I'm gonna show that we'll show that on the YouTube, or you can Google it. Another one of his favorite pastimes was listening to his favorite band. Do you want to guess what his favorite fucking band was?
The Killers?
No, but they're great.
Who?
I think that's a little too mainstream.
The Stranglers from the last episode?
Oh my God. His favorite band was Insane Clown Posse.
Okay, well, that should have been in my...
I think you should have guessed it.
That's Sassy's favorite, for sure.
Yeah, no. So, in case you don't know what ICP is, I actually, dude, that's fucked up. My friend Nicole's podcast did like a really good episode. It was like their second episode. It was really early, but they did.
I remember you talking about
such a good episode on it, to the point where I was like, I had no idea about how like
insane
this posse is. Like, I had no idea how like how deep their culture, like, you know, goes.
I don't know too much, but I know
drink Faygo.
What?
They drink Faygo.
Oh, okay. Soda?
Yeah, that's like a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like their association with Faygo. I don't know.
I didn't know the connection. I didn't know that they were associated with Faygo.
It's like a huge thing, yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So they're an American hip-hop duo, if you don't know what I'm talking about, composed of Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope.
That's what I call myself.
No, it isn't. He had a picture of them on his wall. Here, I'll show you the photo in case you want to like have some inspiration.
Of ICP?
Yeah. Here they are.
I love their look.
Cute. So, just quite a story. Quite a culture they have. We're not getting into it, but
for the people who didn't make it out of Loves and Laughs. They didn't graduate.
They didn't graduate from Loves and Laughs.
No. They were the ones who got the attention all the time.
Yeah. They perform a style of hardcore hip hop known as horrorcore with supernatural and horror themed lyrics, and their fans or their listeners are called Juggalos, the Juggalos. So the duo also founded the independent record label Psychopathic Records. So now we're all combining all of this into a nice little stew
with a pretty little bow on it.
With a big bow on it, yeah. And this is what Israel is, who he is, what he is. So after he's back from the army, after he's back from Egypt, he's still in the army, stationed at Washington's Fort Lewis base. He begins a relationship with a woman who was a member of the Maka Indian tribe, who later gave birth to their daughter, and they remain anonymous probably for the best in most publications. After he was honorably discharged from the Army in 2001, the three of them moved to the Maka Reservation in Nia Bay, Washington, where Keyes worked for the tribal authority, and there's not much known about their relationship at this point or like what was going on with him. All we do know is that he later admitted to investigators that it was no surprise he was going to commit his first murder soon after moving to Nia Bay, because Nia Bay is a boring town. So around 2005, Keyes was convicted of driving under the influence and other traffic-related charges, but that was like the first brush with the law, I guess.
Sure.
In March of 2007, when he was 29 years old, he and his daughter left her mother after the parents' relationship broke down, and that's when he moved to Anchorage and moved in with a different woman, like his new girlfriend with his daughter from the previous marriage. In Anchorage, Keyes started a construction business called Keyes Construction, working as a handyman, contractor, and general laborer. And then now we're skipping forward. This is how he established his life in Anchorage. Now we know what happened at Common Grounds, and then he drove to Texas, and now he's back, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? So that's his background, how he got to Anchorage.
Like record scratch. You're probably wondering how I got here.
It's like we're playing the Insane Clown Posse on the Victriola. Stupid show. This fucking stupid show. Okay. Wow, I just can't stop thinking about whether Sunshine listens to this. Okay. I'm like so embarrassed. Okay. Not about him, but like to him. Like, I'm sorry.
We've really covered a lot of territory while covering nothing at all.
Oh my God. It's so bad. Okay.
Oh. The Red Surfer and Sunshine.
The Red Surfer. Stop. Oh no. Oh, I'd rather be a burrito with no pants on.
Me too.
I'm so jealous. So now he's in custody back in Alaska, and police are like, they demand to know about Samantha and what happened, and he tells them, don't expect her to come home. It turns out she's been dead almost the entire time he's had her. So he tells them what happened. In February of 2012, he decides he's going to kill someone. That's it. And this is what adds to the scariness. He had no connection to Samantha. He just saw that Common Grounds was he said, I think a coffee shop's a good place to kidnap somebody.
The fuck?
Yeah. And then saw that it was open the latest.
Oh my God.
So he just went there.
That's the Strangers shit right there. That's the fucking movie.
Oh, where they just go to like
because like right before the final scene when
spoiler alert,
everyone fucking dies. But
like, oh no.
But right beforehand, the girl who's about to get killed goes, "Why us? Like, why did you knock on our door? Why us?" And they were like, "Because you were home."
That's exactly it. He basically is like, he had no preference. It wasn't like he found her, attractive or he wanted it. He just was like, why not? Which I think is why this story becomes just so fucking unsettling. It's like The Strangers, where it's like,
Just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, you had no way of avoiding it. Like there was just no way to know what he would do next. So he kidnapped Sam as seen in CCTV, but you can't really see what he's doing. Apparently he put her in zip ties. Then he took her back to so he pulled her out of the window. Apparently she escaped while he was walking her to his van and ran for a while screaming for help, and he grabbed her again and nobody heard her. So that is also really upsetting. Then he took her back to his shed where his girlfriend and daughter were literally asleep in the house behind the shed.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like a really cute little blue house. Like, again, unsuspecting. Like that's the house.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like a cute little blue house. And he just puts her in this little shed. And
which again, like I know I said this earlier about like, you know, like he was at that wedding in Texas, and it's just like, now I wonder, like every time I go to a wedding, I'm like, who here like is feeling the most paranoia about something that they're not talking about?
Yes.
It makes me want to, like, when I drive through neighborhoods, I'm like, which house has a kidnapped person in it?
Oh, I think that a lot too.
Like, I'm just like, well, I think about it a lot. And like, when I'm walking down the street, I'm like, who am I walking by that like thought for a second that they should probably kill me? Like, like who has like some homicidal tendencies that I've walked past and like, probably I got away?
Probably more than we'd like to know.
If the answer is one or more, I'm scared for the rest of my life.
Greater than or equal to one.
It's probably at least one,
right? Like
maybe that's my ego talking. Like someone must have wanted to, but like, you know, like.
But there's all these stories of like in Cleveland where the women were held for 10 years in this guy's basement, and it's like the neighbors were horrified because they were like, we had no fucking idea. Like, you know what I mean? It's really scary. So he puts her in the shed, and also it's like Alaska in February, so it's not like there's heating in this little shed. So he just ties her up in there. Then he told her, listen, I just want ransom money. If you cooperate, I won't hurt you. That was a lie. He had no intention of keeping her alive. So when he realized that Samantha didn't have her phone on her, and he wanted to send ransom text messages, he's like, where's your phone? She says, it's at the coffee shop. So he literally leaves her there, goes back to the coffee shop, breaks in and gets her phone, and then comes back. And then he's like, well, where's your debit card so I can get the money? And she says, it's in my boyfriend's truck. So this motherfucker goes to her boyfriend's house and breaks into his truck and gets her debit card.
Wow.
And the boyfriend saw him. This is rough too, because the boyfriend saw him breaking into the truck and like tried to chase him down, but he got away. And like, you just wonder, like, what if he had caught him, or what if he had run and gotten him on time, or
oh my gosh.
So he gets
that's probably added guilt on the boyfriend too, of like, wow, if only I ran a little faster.
Apparently he turned behind to like call for help, and then by the time he got back outside, like he was gone. And it's just like, it just makes me feel really awful for him. It just sounds like added pressure and guilt. So while he was out like running around grabbing all her belongings, he had her tied up in a shed and playing the radio at high volume so no one could hear her, which is also just fucking scary. So he comes back. Now the following day, February 2nd, 2012, she's in there overnight. He rapes her and then kills her after he pours himself a large glass of wine and just is like, now I'm going to kill you.
Can I ask how? Doesn't matter.
I don't actually know if we know how.
I hope it was swift.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hope it wasn't a torture thing.
I'll tell you.
I mean, it was already torture,
yes,
but
yeah.
It's fine.
We'll learn more about his methods, so maybe that'll give a clue.
Jesus, okay.
So after he killed her, he went back into the house, and he and his family packed for a cruise that they were going on.
Fuck off. Okay,
I know.
So he like already he was on his way to a wedding after the cruise.
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
So
he just had so many vacations planned.
He's a very popular guy. So he left her in the shed. They traveled to
I'm not going to go on a cruise and be like, who here is paranoid?
Literally, don't go on a cruise. Is my first tip. Do you know what happens on cruises? The toilets break and everything goes awry.
And that's it. That's the only problem.
It's a big problem. And then everyone has poop in the halls. Okay. So he and his family pack for this cruise. Then they go to New Orleans, and they're on a 2-week cruise in the Gulf of Mexico. And she's just in the fucking shed, like dead.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a thing called the Cruise Law News. Don't even get me started. The Cruise Law News, and they made a statement that said, I suppose that the only point to be learned is that when you cruise, you never know who you're cruising with. A few thousand people did, in fact, sail out of New Orleans with a serial killer with fresh blood on his hands. If you cruise, will a serial killer be aboard? Seems unlikely to me. Okay, that's like literally what happened.
Ugh, yuck.
Cruise Law News.
Also a question, so to be a serial killer, don't you have to have killed many people?
Mm-hmm.
I see. Okay.
This was the outlet into his life.
Also, he killed her, and then they went on the cruise and just left her body in the shed. Was he not worried about when they got back, like the smell or cleaning it up before his girlfriend found out?
Also February in Alaska, so her body
preserved. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And my guess is that like the girlfriend just didn't go in the shed because like it never seemed to be a concern.
If we had a shed, I'd never go in there. So yeah, okay. I get it.
Yeah, fair. So
you don't even have to explain that one to me.
What's the interest in February and going into a small shed?
Right.
I don't know, unless you had something to get out of there. So it wasn't until he got back to Anchorage that he put together the ransom note and the picture.
That's why 2 weeks later, the boyfriend got a text.
Yeah.
Because he was on a fucking cruise.
But remember when the photo had her with the newspaper?
It was her dead body.
He
took a picture of her dead body.
Took a needle and fishing line and sewed her eyes open.
Good night.
To make it look like she was alive. But she had been dead for 2 weeks in that photo. Is this not like the most fucking horrific thing you've ever heard? It really troubled me last night and every other night that I've thought about it.
I feel like if I had that picture, if someone sent me a picture, I feel like this is not trying to like victim blame at all. I would have noticed something was off about my girlfriend's body if her eyes were sewed
she's
open,
literally
right?
Kidnapped.
Right, you're right. She doesn't look stoked.
No, and
so,
like if you see the photo, it's just like
so weird. I feel like
I've seen the photo, by the way, and it's horrifying.
I was gonna say the thing that's happening in my head is like I'm shocked that it didn't look more unnatural or like that. It doesn't matter. Sorry, keep going.
I mean,
this is all blowing my mind.
Yeah,
well done on this story.
It's I'll show you the photo later if you want to see it. It's one of those things where if you see it, you're like, oh my God, she looks so scared. And then later you're like, no, she's dead.
Uh-huh.
Like you just don't even know. You wouldn't think of it. I don't think anyone would think, oh, maybe her eyes are sewn open.
This also makes me think like he's just a terrible, like he clearly isn't like he didn't plan any of this.
Oh,
he's like
actually like one of the most carefully planned.
Really? Because right now it sounds like he's really just kind of putzing around.
Well, and this is why this one, for whatever reason, was his undoing. Because he didn't do a good job.
You know what's wild is if there weren't security cameras there, he might have gotten away with all of it. Right?
Yeah. Well, no, because he was texting them, remember?
Oh, right.
I think that was
and the card
thing.
Sorry, yeah.
No, but you're right. I mean, because that's such a big clue to like be on video. But yeah, I guess the thing that got him screwed was that he texted them and was like,
right.
He probably would never have gotten caught if he hadn't texted them for money.
If he didn't try so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Ugh. I mean, I've been like nauseous all day. So he took a needle and fishing line, sewed her eyes open, and then can you imagine being the dad, the parents, and the boyfriend, and being like,
well, also like now looking at the picture again after having it this whole time, and now realizing a new thing about it, and it's that she's dead.
Yeah, it's really
revolting.
Exactly. So. Ugh, it makes me sick. He then dismembered her body, drove to Madanuska Lake, I think that's how you say it, where he built an ice fishing shelter around himself, which is a thing I guess people do to keep warm. So he built an ice fishing shelter for himself so that he could dispose of the pieces of the body in the lake, and no one noticed. They found her body there when he told them where it was, and they were able to bring her to her family to lay her to rest. So police are unsettled as fuck, basically, at this point. And they're like, this can't be his first murder. This can't be. Like, the way he's acting,
he's
cool, calm, and collected. Yeah. Like, it's not the first time. And he's like, yeah, you're right. But I'm not going to tell you anything until you promise me that you will have me executed within the year.
What?
He's like, I don't want to live in jail for the rest of my life.
Aw.
I know, boo fucking who.
Aw,
right?
You don't.
Oh, I guess we'll give you what you want.
No.
Asshole.
I'd make sure he stayed in jail alive.
Me too.
And well.
So he's like, I want to be executed before I end up caged in jail for the rest of my life.
Poor baby.
He said, I don't want my story to be sensationalized. And apparently he didn't want his daughter to hear about the details of his crimes, even though he seemed to have no remorse. So it was a little weird. It was like he was very concerned that his daughter didn't hear all this, but also, what the fuck? Like, then don't do it.
Like, what did you think was going to happen?
What did you think was going to happen?
All she has to do is Google you one day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he didn't want any of it to get out in the media. He was like, I don't want this publicized.
Right.
So it takes several hours of interviews. You can see all the interviews online. Eventually, he starts to hint at the additional crimes. So they're starting to gather information. It's super creepy. He tells police, you will only know if I killed people if I tell you I killed them. All of my victims are just missing persons, and you would never think to connect me to them.
Wow.
I'd like have goose cam because it's literally true. So it turns out that the murder of Samantha was the first and only time he ever killed in a town that he lived in. But he was also a prolific serial killer. So the FBI spent 6 months trying to piece together his past. And it turns out he spent much of his adult life traveling and was like a scary, meticulous planner. So he would take trips just to prepare for future murders. He would fly somewhere, rent a car, then drive to a random town, and then he would bury what he called a kill kit. It was like a bucket with weapon, cash, restraints, Drano to hide evidence, and he would leave it there sometimes for years before he just decided, this is the month I'm going to go and use my kill kit in some random fucking town in America.
Wow.
So the victims were always victims of opportunity. No planning of the victims. Just like, I want to do a murder in Vermont today. So it's just so scary. He said he had buried kill kits in Texas, Wyoming, Alaska, Washington, New York, and Vermont. Sometimes in the woods. Sometimes he would go to find a house that he thought he could break into. Like maybe it had an attached garage or something and he thought he could break into it easily. He also sexually assaulted his victims, and it didn't matter if they were men, women, how old they were. It just was part of his MO. It didn't matter if they were alive, didn't matter if they were dead. But that was the one thing he refused to talk about. He was so uncomfortable when that came up, and he said, I don't want that leaked. I don't want my daughter hearing this. I don't want the public hearing this. Like, that was a thing that he was embarrassed about, or like, that was too far, I guess.
You don't really get the right to be embarrassed anymore.
Exactly. And what, now you're fucking have the gall to try and protect your daughter?
Yeah.
After you did this to someone else's daughter and countless other people? So he said, I want my kid to have a chance to grow up. She's in a safe place now. She's not going to see any of this. I want her to have a chance to grow up and not have all this hanging over her head, which is weird because then it seems like he has an element of like understanding and remorse, or not even remorse, but like an understanding of what he did. It just blows my
mind when it's like someone who does something that terrible has children. It's like, how can you not imagine like how you'd feel if that happened to them?
Yeah, exactly.
Which like that shouldn't have to be how you see it to understand something. But you would think that'd at least be a last ditch effort of like, hey, someone you love, this happens to them.
Well, he later said he would never hurt children or dogs. Those are like off limits.
But cats are fucking fine.
Cats are fine, and
also all human beings
that
are not children.
Samantha, who's 18 years old, is fine, right. I guess. But my daughter, I don't want her to know. So in any case, he literally says, the problem is that nowadays, the more stuff my name is attached to, the more somebody's going to, you know how it is, this true crime bull that people are obsessed with. Fucking piece of
I feel attacked.
Shit. Yeah, me too. And I'm like, but the reason that we're interested in this shit is because I need to know that these I don't need to know, but I want to know that these people exist.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm going to lock my door tonight and probably not sleep for a long time. Anyway, authorities are like, fucking fine. Just tell us about your crimes and we'll talk. We'll see if we can keep this out of the papers. And that's when he decides to tell them about the murders of Lorraine and Bill Courier. So June 2nd, 2011, which is 8 months before he murdered Samantha, he flew to Chicago where he rented a car, drove 1,000 miles to Vermont, where he ran. So he literally drove from Chicago to Vermont, 1,000 miles. Very far trip, where he randomly selected two victims, Bill and Lorraine Courier. The only reason he picked them is because their house had an attached garage, and he thought that would be easy to break into, which I guess it was. So if you have one of those, just lock the door, get an alarm system. On the night of June 8th, 2011, he broke into the Courier's house via the window in the garage. Once inside, he cut the phone lines, burst into their bedroom, encouraged them to put on slippers rather than walk on broken glass because he wanted to protect their feet.
Until he damaged them however he wanted.
Correct. He then led them to the car where he tied them up, then drove them to an abandoned house. Don't ever go to a second location. And how did he find this farmhouse? We don't know. According to a New York Post article, it was around 4 a.m., quiet and dark, the road and sky horizonless, when Keyes pulled up to an abandoned farmhouse off Route 15. That had been the reason for his drive earlier that day, to look at houses just for this moment. He had prepared, like, way in advance, which fucking abandoned farmhouse he was taking them to.
Shit.
So he took them to this farmhouse, shot Bill, sexually assaulted Lorraine, strangled her, and then in the middle of the murder, by the way, he went out to smoke a cigar in the backyard.
But with the other one, he had a glass of wine.
Yes, true.
He likes having an intermission, apparently.
Yes, and also, like, boo-hoo, this must be so stressful on you. Have a glass of wine. So to this day, the bodies of Bill and Lorraine have never been found, although Keyes has said he put them in trash bags and covered them in Drano. He later noted that when he was in Vermont on the trip to kill the Couriers, he had gone fishing, and he bought a legal fishing license. He didn't want to break the law, you know?
Well, thank God.
It's just beyond me.
An upstanding citizen.
Yes, a pillar, one might say. Pillar to killer. Police interviewed Keyes for dozens of hours to try and get more information on Samantha's murder and the Courier's murder. And they really quickly realized these were not the only crimes he had committed. The tone is so bizarre. The police are like trying to make him more comfortable to talk, but it looks like buddy. Yeah. So it just adds to the creepiness. They're like bringing him snacks and stuff. Turns out between 96 and 98, when he was around 18 to 20, he confessed to sexually assaulting a teenager in Oregon who was around 14. He said he had intended to kill her and perform a satanic ritual on her, but he let her go instead.
Okay.
He reflected on the incident in the interview, saying it's because he wasn't violent enough. Right?
Enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
He then confessed that once he had left the military, he began robbing banks for 11 years to fund his murder spree, because it's expensive to rent a car and drive to Vermont. Right. An FBI report said that Keyes robbed multiple banks spanning from New York to Texas, burglarized 20 to 30 homes across the United States during this time.
Oh my gosh.
But most horrific at all, Keyes hinted that he had killed far more people than the 3 the police knew about. Head investigator Godin remembers, he told us about a couple in Washington state, another victim in that area, and possibly others in surrounding states. He told investigators that at least some of the disappearances resulted in news stories. So it's in the media that these people are disappeared, but he's like, you would have no idea it was me. However, because he often looked for victims in campgrounds, remote trails, and boating areas, a lot of the cases were not flagged as suspicious and were just thought to be accidental. They went missing or succumbed to the elements.
That's so
and he's like,
wild.
I went to campgrounds and picked them.
Jesus.
I mean, it's really horrifying.
That's okay. He's probably the scariest one you've ever told me about.
Right? Yeah. They call him like the scariest serial killer you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Right? It's horrifying. So he confessed to killing a woman in New Jersey in April of 2009 and burying her in upstate New York, but he never confirmed who this woman was, and her body was never found. FBI Special Agent Barbara Woodruff told CNN that when Keyes was shown a picture of missing woman 49-year-old Deborah Feldman, Keyes paused and said, "I'm not ready to talk about that one." And that might have been the New York victim. Police suspect that after killing Samantha, he killed another victim while in Texas, for the wedding, where he also robbed a bank and set a home on fire.
Oh my God.
There's also been...
So there's nothing he won't do.
Exactly. He's just... Except dogs and babies.
Except dogs and babies.
There's also been a lot of online chatter about the possibility of him being involved with the disappearance of Maura Murray, who was that really case we did. I think it was, let's see, episode 8. That was the Queen Mary episode too. Yeah. It was our first fight with Franzia Staines or something. And 21-year-old nursing student Maura Murray, who went missing after crashing her car in northern New Hampshire. So it's possible they're related. It's like, who knows? And throughout the whole interview, he was like really teasing about it. He once said, the information that I still have might come in handy. He might be linked to as many as 11 deaths in the US, and there might be even more victims outside the country because he also traveled internationally. I mean, remember when he was like in Egypt and he was going to Tel Aviv? Like, who knows what the fuck he was doing over there? So he revealed he had hidden the kill kit for the Vermont double murder of Lorraine and Bill Courier 2 years before the murder in 2009, and then moved the kill kit to Parrishville, New York, and police later found it. I have a picture of it for you. So fucking creepy, dude. Do I? Yes, I do.
Oh my gosh.
It's like ski mask, ropes, screwdriver, Glad trash bags, flashlights, gloves.
Now every time I go to Walmart, I'm like, okay, why are you buying Glad trash bags?
Who's buying these ropes? Yeah, nylon string, a belt. That might be the key to what was going on. There's a belt with like Artie in a loop.
I also feel like, can you actually ever buy those things all together at one time without someone suspecting
it's such
that
a
you're
trope
a killer?
In those sitcoms where they like accidentally murder someone and then like go to buy like 80,000 trash bags and like bleach. So here's a couple sound bites that were said throughout his interviews with police. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
In reflecting about how BTK killer Dennis Rader had remorse for his killings after he was caught, Keyes called him a wimp. When asked why he committed crimes, he reportedly replied, "Why not?"
What the hell?
He told investigators he admires serial killer Ted Bundy. They asked retirement plans, and he said he wanted to build a dungeon in his home.
What the fuck?
They said, "Do you have any boundaries?" And he says, "I won't kill children and dogs." Congratulations. And from the interviews, police formed an MO. Basically, he had no obvious victim profile. It was just like whoever's convenient. Random. No connection with the victims. Planned them a long time in advance, burying murder kits sometimes years in advance. He killed far from home, like Vermont, from Alaska to Vermont, and then would just fly home, and no one would ever fucking know. He never killed in the same area twice. On his murder trips, he would turn off his cell phone, pay in cash, or go to parks, campgrounds, walking trails, boat docks where people wouldn't be spotted getting abducted. If he targeted a specific home, he scoped for houses with an attached garage, no cars in the driveway, no kids, and no dogs. So to this day, Samantha and Bill and Lorraine are still the only confirmed victims of Israel Keyes. His trial was scheduled to begin in March of 2013, but on December 2nd of 2012, exactly 9 months to the day after he had abducted Samantha, he was found dead in his cell.
Good?
No, because he had all this information. Like, they were like, thank God we can...
I didn't know what... Okay. I mean, I'm happy that, like...
No, but remember, he was like, I want to die and not be in this thing, and then he...
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I'm out.
And he never went to trial. He never was, like, they never got the justice
other information from about other people.
Yeah, but, like, also her family never got the justice of, like, him going to jail, like, being, you know, sentenced. Yeah, or, like, pleading guilty or whatever. So, anyway, it's just so heartbreaking because he, like, had so much information, and...
We'll never know.
I mean, maybe, but maybe not. He was 34. He was found dead in his cell after taking his own life by hiding a piece of razor in a pencil and slitting his left wrist.
Oh, so he died by suicide.
Oh, yeah.
I thought someone killed him.
Oh, no. He took his own life because he was a fucking asshole who didn't want to give anyone what they wanted.
Wow.
Yeah. Or
he
give
was
anyone.
Only 34?
Yeah. Yes, he did all this.
He accomplished that much?
Can you imagine if he hadn't gotten caught?
Wow.
Yeah. So scary. So police to this day cannot figure out how he got this razor blade. He had been on suicide watch a couple months, but had been taken off. And then his funeral was attended in December of 2012 by his mother and 4 of his sisters. The family did not make a statement to the press. I don't blame them. So underneath his body in the cell, they found 4 pages of bloodied yellow paper. It was a suicide note, and it was called An Ode to Murder.
Ew.
Yeah. And so Dr. Stephen Montgomery, who's a forensic psychiatrist at Vanderbilt, said the writings showed an intelligence and a clear understanding that he knew his behavior was wrong. He said Keyes is writing this so that people will find it and talk about it and further magnify his own self-worth. And of course, it has no remorse, no regard for human life or the victims, and that fits with that type of psychopathic personality. They were also reminiscent of a Silence of the Lambs type killer, is what he said. So I'm not going to read you this fucking full note because, like, he doesn't deserve the airtime.
Sure.
But this is kind of just to give you a gist. This is how the note starts. Where will you go, you clever little worm, if you bleed your host dry? And then the end of the fucking poem or whatever it is says, land of the free, land of the lie, land of scheme, American eyes. Watch close while I work now. Feel the electric shock of my touch. Open your trembling flower or your petals I'll crush.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's fucking horrifyingly disgusting. And I'm not even going to give it any more time. So that was the only thing he left behind, except they found these drawings. 11 skulls and a pentagram, and they found it under his jail cell bed, and he had drawn them in his own blood. Excellent. And under one skull, it says, "We are one," and people believe that this means his 11 victims that he had murdered. So the FBI published an in-depth timeline of transactions and travel from 1997 to 2012 to try and jog the memories of anyone that might have had dealings with Keyes. And it could answer a lot of questions if he's linked to any of these cases. So to report tips about the Israel Keyes case, you can call the FBI casually at 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Oh.
Or you can probably just go online and see where there might be a place for you to contact. But I'm going to also show you the picture of the skulls.
Wow.
Done in his own fucking blood.
Pentagram.
Yeah, pentagram.
Wow.
So that's that.
It's like he made killing look easy. Like for him to have done it so.
It's horrifying because he like had patience and just didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just was like, it wasn't like he was all over the place. Like he literally planned the murder of Bill and Lorraine 2 years in advance.
Wow.
Like how scary is that thought? Like that you're just like spending your day going to bed after watching TV and like.
Also, like doing that for 2 years, having no idea that you've been on the back of someone's mind.
Yeah.
Like if that were one of us, that means like that could be they've been planning it since 2018 or in 2022.
Yeah.
Something's gonna happen and it's already planned. That's disgusting.
Isn't that sick?
That's so disturbing. Wow. The good job.
Yeah,
Christine.
so that's that story.
That's officially the scariest story you've done.
Okay, I'm glad you agree because I was losing sleep over this. Like it really scared me.
That one's wild. And next time someone says like, "What's the scariest story that we've covered?" Like true crime wise, that's my answer.
Okay, good. Well, I was in a very dark place last night, so
excellent.
If anyone has tips on how to cleanse my aura,
Michael Scott, only Michael Scott.
Michael Scott.
Yeah, to like cleanse your aura and be like to feel better. And
Michael Scott. Oh, watch The Office. You're saying?
Yes.
I thought you meant he has tips for me. I was like, well, what are they?
I'm sure he does. You just got to go look up some inspirational quotes from him.
He's only a little stitious.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for listening. Yikes! Hit me up and tell me how to feel better.
Hit me up with them digits. Yes, we have our website, and that's why we drink. We also have our social media, ATWWD podcast, and in case you do listen to these backwards, we also put out listeners episodes at the first of every month.
Yeah.
So if you would like to submit your own personal story, there's a submission box on our website.
Yep.
So, oh my gosh, wow.
And
does everyone feel safe now?
No, absolutely
Were you
not.
listening to this in the middle of the night?
Lock your doors, please.
Go lock your doors. Go double check. Even if you say, "Oh, I already locked them," I don't believe you. Go lock your door.
You don't believe yourself, and you know it.
And make sure everyone's alert. Keep your dog alert. Get a dog.
Get a dog. Hey, but don't buy it from a puppy mill.
Right, and then
adopt it from a shelter.
Name it Sunshine.
No, oh, God help me. This is a horrifying episode for me.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week, which is technically actually next month for you and me.
That's right.
So
I miss you.
When it's actually October, I miss you.
And
that's
why
we
drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot.